Okay, I'm set up now. I'm going to be using my um, 0.3 millimeter 2B lead. I may use my 0.5 millimeter, that's also 2B. My eraser, just a Staedtler eraser that I've created a very nice edge on. Periodically I have to clean it up a little bit. And blending stump. So what I'm going to do is, at the moment, is just kind of lightly come in and darken this area up. As you can see, it's already darkened, but I just want to darken up a little bit more. Too light as it is. I'm using the 0.3 millimeter because I won't have to do so much blending at a later point. Another thing that I'm doing, if you notice, I'm pulling in lines. I'm creating lines in the shaded areas because I want the illusion of hair. I don't want just a shaded block. It needs to, even though it's darker, it needs to show some definition. Then at the same time, I want to tighten up these broad lines, the white lines, so that they stand out more as hairs. I don't want to outline them. It needs to not be noticeable that that's what I've done. It just needs to be a smaller, thinner line. Then later, at a later point, hit the camera. As you notice, it looks like we have a line that continued and stopped at this point. At a later point, I will come in and draw in some hairs that just kind of go around. You've got to have a little bit of chaos when you're drawing hair. It doesn't look right. Alright, I'm not real good at just continuously talking. Been accused of that before. But I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. And normally when I draw hair, this is not what I do. But in this case, I wanted to do a detailed drawing of hair. So, if you want to be detailed, then this is what you have to do. The reason for the lines is it creates a form, body. The more you do this, the more body that is in there, the deep, many layers deep down into the drawing. And this, when you draw hair, we'll do this in another tutorial, but as you layer in all these different areas, then you just keep building on top of a layer. Maybe erase a little bit, maybe do some blending, redraw the whites. And each time you do that, you add another layer that, believe it or not, your eye will pick up. And the more you do it, the more volume the system, your hair system, the way you've been drawing, will show up. And by going back and forth over this many times, you start to create the illusion of hair. The other issue we have is up here in this area. This area has got to be quite dark. And you've noticed I've already started drawing some lines in at this point. So, checking my camera view, I'm sorry. I just start building layers. I want it quite dark. I'm not worried about how visible these are. I just want dark hair. I want the eye to realize there's something there, but I want it dark enough that it's not seen. Then same as before, I'll come in at a later time. If you notice there's a hair here, I'll draw something across. You've got to have intermingled highlights, hair in different places. Like I said, it's got to be some chaos. You can take a lady with the most defined hair, and they're not all going to be in the same direction. She'll have just got in and out of a car, or as she was coming in the house, maybe some wind blew it. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't matter who it is. So you have to show that. Okay, this is starting to get fairly dark. But if you notice, I still am showing highlights in there that I really don't want. So I'll take my stump and I'll come in and I'll just blend. Notice I'm not going in a circle. I don't want to change the direction of anything. And believe it or not, you can actually change the direction and flow of the hair by changing which way the stump blends, because it will pick up. Some people can see it. You could see it. You wouldn't know what you were looking at maybe, but you could tell it. So now we have several different views. We have all this area, which this is going to be quite tedious. I've got to go all the way across this paper with this. But you can see where it's quite light in this area. I've laid out the white lines, the ones that really got to stand out. I've did a little bit of darkening here. I'm giving you an example here. We've got to pull into this area just somewhat. It's got to blend. You can't have just end of hair just sticking there. I mean, maybe you could, maybe so if that's what the source image calls for, but it all has to flow somehow or another. Okay, well, that's the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.